Hey everybody, welcome to your Week 5 OGFFL video show. I am, of course, your host, your commissioner, Mr. Robert Triano. I can't believe, yes, it is Week 5 already. We are almost a quarter of the way through, actually exactly a quarter of the way through the fantasy football season, as we play 16 weeks, of course, not 13 regular season. But this is this is going to be a long video show, as I've written down a bunch of notes, but I can't have it be long, so we're going to fly through everything here. So we're going to get right into it, guys. So, of course, congratulations to our man George for a third straight high score. He is currently averaging 137 points per game, which is wild. It's 23 more points than the next player, which is Gio. So congratulations to George. You're absolutely killing it right now, which is good to see. You haven't had a lot of success in this league. It's fun to see when people change it around. So this is very cool. First off here, before we get into the rankings and who's hot, who's not, we're going to go over those trades. We had 2 trades this week, both of them involving Ramazan. And I think they're both two very good trades. The first one that happened was Ramazan and Alex. Ramazan gets DeAndre Hopkins and Peyton Barber, and Alex gets Travis Kelce. And in the second trade, about a day later, Ramazan receives Le'Veon Bell, Greg Olsen, and Jarvis Landry. And Miguel receives Odell Beckham, Sony Michel, and Matt Breida. Now, it's 2 separate trades, but let's kind of combine them and then split them up again. In reality, what happened here, Ramazan traded away Travis Kelce and Odell Beckham Jr., his top 2 picks, for DeAndre Hopkins and Le'Veon Bell, 2 other top picks, which I think anybody today would sign up for right now. Very good job by Ramazan, kind of splitting up 2 trades, but getting 2 stars back in return for 2 other stars. And then a second trade within the 2 trades, Ramazan traded away Sony Michel and Matt Breida for Greg Olsen, who would now be his starting tight end, who's been solid. Listen, all you need for a starting tight end to be in the top 12 is between 6 and 8 points a week. It's all you need. Greg Olsen can get you that. Jarvis Landry, who was hurt but showed last week that because Odell is going to be getting so much coverage against other defenses, Jarvis Landry's open. He's been open all year. Baker Mayfield's been terrible. Hopefully he picks it up the rest of the way. And Peyton Barber, who is a Ronald Jones bad game or injury away from being a must start. So I think it was a great trade for all 3 players. I think Ramazan may have got the better of it just because I think he improves his team more than most. But I think everybody got solid pieces that they need to improve their team, especially a guy like Alex, who was very deep at wide receiver and needed a tight end. And Travis Kelce is the number 1 tight end right now in fantasy. So I'm pretty sure of that. At least he's a fantasy MVP that you'll see later. But you got a great guy. Everyone did very well in those trades. Congratulations. And listen, let's keep it going. Let's get some more trades going. Let's switch these teams up. Let's make good teams better. Let's make great teams worse. Maybe. Let's make bad teams better. Let's mix it up, guys. Let's get some more trades going. It's only week 4. We've got a couple more weeks, I think, until the week before Thanksgiving to trade. So get those trades in. It's about 6 or 7 weeks away, so get ready. So right after that, let's go right into the power rankings, everybody. We're going to start with 7 through 12, as we always do. Now, we had 2 people drop out of the top 6, as you see here. Let's go through. Number 12, we got Ramazan, who stays there from last week. Number 11, Miguel, who drops 1 spot. Myself, 10, I dropped the spot as well. Matt moves up 2 spots to number 9. Ramiro dropped out of the top 6 to number 8. He dropped 3 spots. And Joe drops out of the top 6, 1 spot from 6 to 7 to the 7 spot, obviously. So you got Joe 7, Ramiro 8, Matt 9, myself 10, Miguel 11, and Ramazan 12, which that kind of goes with how the rankings are in the real rankings. The only team that I believe is 1 and 3 or worse that it is currently in the top 6, which you will see soon, as I'm just checking right now to make sure I am correct. Yes, they are 1 and 3. Is, as you see now, with the top 6 coming up, Rich and Mark. They move into the top 6 from the 7th spot after a nice week, but right away, listen, here we go. Ed, number 6, he moves into the top 6. For the first time in I don't know how long, Ed is in the top 6 of the power rankings. You got Rich and Mark, or this late in the season actually for Ed. Rich and Mark move up to number 5. They moved up 2 spots, and then the top 4 stay the exact same. Andrew 4, Alex 3, Gio 2, and George 1. George is absolutely killing it. 38 points so far in 4 weeks, which is crazy. I think that right now, annualized at the end of the season through 13 weeks, would be 128 points, which would by far kill the highest that we ever had, which was last year actually with I believe that was Miguel. Let's just look at this right quick. I don't have everything set up as perfectly as everyone thinks. Let's see here, 2018. Yeah, no, Rich and Mark last year had 105 points, which beat Miguel's previous record of 101. So that's your rankings, guys. It's 1 through 12. You got George, number 1, Gio 2, Alex 3, Andrew 4, Rich and Mark 5, Ed 6, Joe 7, Ramiro 8, Matt 9, myself 10, Miguel 11, and Ramazan 12. Now let's get into who's hot and who's not. Who's been the hottest teams the last 3 weeks and who's not the hottest teams the last 3 weeks. Well, let's start with who's hot. I think it's an easy one, as we know. George is the hottest team in the league right now. 33 points in the last 3 weeks, averaging 147.6 points per game. Gio's number 2 with 23, averaging 114 points a game. And Richard Mark's number 3, averaging 20 points per game. Did I say Gio number 2? I hope I said Gio number 2. Richard Mark, number 3, 20 points with 100, averaging 109. Your who's not, you can kind of guess it. Ramiro, number 10 right now, with 10 points at 86.4. Miguel's your 11th worst team in the last 3 weeks with 8 points with 88 average. And Ramazan's your last with 8 points as well, but averaging 81 points a game. So that's your who's not, who's hot, and who's not. Now let's get into your fantasy MVPs. I haven't done it so far this year because I kind of wanted to wait a couple weeks before we went into this. But as you guys remember from the newsletter, your fantasy MVPs are players who have finished in the top 12 at their position the most. So right away we'll start with the quarterback, and that's Patrick Mahomes. He's the only player right now in the quarterback position to finish in the top 12 all 4 weeks. So at 4, obviously. I messed that up a little bit. But yeah, he's the only player to finish in the quarterback position with 4 top 12s. For wide receiver, there's only one wide receiver as well. That's Cooper Kupp. He's finished 3 times in the top 12. No other receiver has done it more than twice. For running back, we got 3 at the top. Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, and Austin Eckler have all finished 3 times in the top 12. Tight end, you got 1 player. It's Travis Kelce, who's finished 4 times in the top 12. Kicker, Greg Zerloin and Joey Sly have both finished 4 times in the top 12, so every week. And defense, only one defense has finished top 12. You could probably guess it with the matchups that they have, and that's the Patriots. 4 weeks in a row, top 12, and they've been absolutely killing it. And you can kind of see, going through that list, you can see why some of these teams are at the top of the rankings right now and at the top of the standings. In OG, you got George, who has 3 of the fantasy MVPs currently right now. The Pats defense, Greg Zerloin, and Cooper Kupp, who've been dominating so far. You got Gio, who's been doing well. He's got Pat Mahomes. You got Alex and Ed, who have the running backs, in Dalvin Cook, McCaffrey, and Eckler. Now, Ramazan was the outlier with Travis Kelce, who now goes to Alex. So Alex currently has 2. So he'll hopefully maybe continue to move up in the standings and the rankings and everything. So you can see that having a fantasy MVP and having consistent players is key in this league. I would say the outlier would be Ramazan with Kelce. It just kind of shows that unless you get tight ends that play the way that Kittle, Ertz, and Kelce did last year, it's not really worth it taking a tight end super early in drafts. And I think they're going to drop next year based on the production that you've seen. It's so leveled out in between points per game for tight ends in the top 12. And unless you get like a Kelce and Ertz and Kittle last year that were averaging 12, 15 points a game, you really don't need to reach on tight end. And the next segment, the TD percentage, the one that I love the best, because this is when I really take a deep look into your teams and see what teams have been playing well and what teams to look out for and what teams don't look good based on how many points they're scoring via the TD. The teams to look out for that look to skyrocket even more, you got two that are already doing well. A 4-0 team in George and a 3-1 team in Ed. George has scored 26 touchdowns, which is tied for first in the league. And he's scoring at a rate of, his TD scoring percentage, so the percentage scored of his total points via the touchdown is fourth lowest at 28.42%. Ed, he scored 22 touchdowns, tied for third in the league. And his TDs were 30.69%, sixth lowest in the league of his points. So he's getting more. They're getting more points from yards than they are touchdowns compared to everybody else, and that's a good thing because touchdowns are not guaranteed. Yards should be. They're a little more guaranteed than touchdowns, so that's a good look for them. Here's the other teams that aren't doing so well. You got Ramiro. He's got 21 touchdowns, which is tied for fourth. That's good. But his touchdown percentage is 33.1%, which is second highest. So he's scoring a lot of his points via the touchdown than the yards. And Miguel, the same thing. He's got 20 touchdowns, which is tied for fifth highest. And he's got a 32.11%, which is the third highest points scored via the touchdown. So look out for George and Ed to keep skyrocketing, and look out for Ramiro and Miguel to go down a little more, even potentially. So let's finish off with your Blazing 3. I am 3-3 on the season after a 2-1 record last week, thanks to I believe Ramazan. Oh, Matt beat Ramazan, so thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it. That's why you're no longer the co-commish. But really quick, Blazing 3 picks for this week, guys. I'll start off with the matchup of the week because I got two matchups coming up with almost must-wins. So the matchup of the week is Geo 3-1 versus 3-1 Ed. Now, I love both teams. Both teams look awesome for the future. I wouldn't change much unless you want to make your team better. These teams look awesome. But I think the sneaky play this week is Auden Tate for the Bengals. Gio's playing him. I'm playing him in a bunch of leagues this week, especially PPR, going against that Arizona defense. I think it's going to be a great play, but I think it's just going to be too much Mahomes. It's going to be very high scoring. Both teams are really good. I think Gio just ekes this one out at the end with Mahomes on Sunday night. Next one, you got Joe versus Miguel, 1-3 versus 0-4. A must-win for Miguel. Joe, almost a must-win for him as well to go to 1-4. But if you go to 5 losses, it's almost a guarantee you're done for the season. So I think the trade that Miguel made helps him this week exactly. He's got Odell, who I think should be doing well on Monday night, especially if Jarvis Landry doesn't play. That's still up in the air with the concussion protocol. And Sony Michel, I think, is going to have a huge game against Washington because they're just going to go up big and let him run it out. I'm not sure about how Juju's going to be, and Marlon Mack may or may not play. He practiced today, but who knows what's going on. Even if he does play, may be limited. He may come out with a re-injury. I'm not a huge fan of Joe's team this week. I love Miguel's team this week after that trade. So I got Miguel finally getting on the board with a 1-4 record. Miguel's going to win that game. And then a new look Ramazan team who's 1-3 versus the 1-3 Rich and Mark. This is the worst I've seen Miguel and Rich and Mark's team play in a long, long time, maybe even ever. So they're both almost with must wins this week, which is kind of crazy. We've never really seen this before. But I got one word: DeAndre Hopkins, the new acquisition for Ramazan, may score 30 points himself this week. He's going to absolutely obliterate the Falcons. I don't care what Russell Wilson did last night. It is what it is. So what? DeAndre Hopkins is going to be awesome. He hasn't been good this year. It's about time he becomes that number one wide receiver that he is. He goes off, and I think Ramazan actually gets the money in that comeback with that Baker Mayfield play on at quarterback. So I think Ramazan comes back and wins it on Monday night. So there it is, your Blazing 3 guys. I got Gio beating Ed, I got Miguel over Joe, and I got Ramazan over Rich and Mark. Let's see how we do, guys. All right, have a good week. Good luck to everybody. Make sure you drive safe.